Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another Moisky Live political recap-y stream. A day late because I had to go to the zoo. Okay. And do other stuff. But most importantly, the zoo, where I wanted souvenirs. Joining
I like
me...
the zoo.
The zoo is fun. Although I did notice in the community tab of my main channel, someone called something Veganista. Guess what they put?
Something PETA related, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was. I think it was like stop promoting the zoo or something. It was my nephew's birthday. We're not doing this. Well, it wasn't his birthday. It was early because perfect time. Anyway, joining me for this to discuss what's happened, and obviously the conspiracy, the tinfoil. I hope you've all got your tinfoil hats because I'm sure some of it is a bit tinfoil hatty. Is Trups LP? Say hello, Trups LP.
Hello, Trups LP.
And how is Trups LP?
I just cracked a beer. Ready to talk about this shit.
You know, I had other topics and I thought, oh, we're going to have a really boring stream. And then I saw Twitter and I was like, nah.
Dude, I got up this morning and I was on my computer eating breakfast and I saw that post and I was like, oh no. What? How did they let this happen?
That honestly crossed my mind because last I checked, he was on suicide watch. Oh, I should say my attention, and I should now say, apparently he was taken off it. That's why. That's according to a couple of sources, including Fox. I should say I was going to be doing something else today. I was going to start writing stuff for a TMZ video where they copyright claimed me, and summarily quit because they're pussies. But then this came up and I was like, what do I do? I know I'll play my guitar instead because I don't think I need to contribute much to the conversation. I've read some sources. It was very amusing. Tragic as well. F for no.
Oh no fucking F.
No,
This
I
dude's a dickhead.
I've just remembered who he is. No, thank you. What a twat. Okay. So should we go back to give a Cliff's notes on who he is? I'll do that.
Surely, yeah. I guess we could do that.
Okay.
So Jeffrey Epstein was a wealthy financier. I guess is a good way to put it. And he was implicated in various sex trafficking crimes, the likes of which even Law and Order SVU wouldn't touch.
Mm-hmm.
And what's most interesting about that is that some of those included adventures with the former President and Secretary of State Bill and Hillary Clinton.
Yep.
Now, I don't mean that. Well, actually, mostly Bill Clinton. Let's take Hillary out of it.
Yeah, probably best to. Although I did put it in the thumbnail because it was funny.
Well, looking at Bill nowadays, I don't think he's doing a whole lot. He looks like the age is getting to him.
He does look a bit like a shell. Like he looks borderline dead.
No, like I think they're keeping him alive simply with the blood of orphans.
You know, I was starting to think he wasn't eating naturally these days. No, I have not been snorting anything, Stuart. I just have I just keep sniffing for reasons. Donate to my Coke. Donate to my Coke fund.
Yesterday or 2 days ago for the donation.
Oh, I know about that. See, I was streaming when that happened.
Oh shit! There's more stuff.
Because the alerts come up on this on my OBS, even if it's on a different scene. So I knew you got donations because it nearly blew my ears off.
I don't know how to fix it. Okay, I'm trying.
Don't even bother. Okay, so Jeff Epstein was a financier. Yes, a really somewhat wealthy one, I might add. He did.
Really?
Yeah, he did okay for himself for a guy who was accused of paying girls under the age of 18 to perform sex acts at his Florida and Manhattan mansions, along with other things, including the fact it was claimed he owned sex slaves.
You know the worst part about it is
What's that?
All we can say from now on is that he was accused of.
Actually, that's a good point. There were pictures that surfaced of him being taken to hospital after this happened today. And they were like, he's been taken in for emergency care. It's like, fuck it. No. You're not even trying to put oxygen into him. The respirator isn't on him. You're not taking him in to be checked. You're taking him in to be autopsied.
Yeah.
I just... Oh. Okay, so the allegations from... It goes back, obviously, from 2002 to this year where Acosta resigned because of his involvement in the rather weak tea guilty plea deal. Instead of facing the sex trafficking charge, he pled guilty to soliciting prostitution, which included a minor, where he went to a private wing of a county jail, where he was even allowed to leave for work up to 12 hours a day for 6 days a week. I guess the only downside back then was that he had to register as a sex offender. Oh, the travesty of the poor guy who owned a private island.
And a private jet.
Yeah. I know in the UK we used to make jokes about Berlusconi, the former Italian leader, and having his bunga parties. Haven't seen him get brought
Do
up.
I dare ask?
Lots of women. Yeah. But they're at least legal. Jesus.
Oh, like Dan Bilzerian.
A bit like that, yes.
So, not my kind of life, but
no, it's not really for me either. Awkward pause there because we're like, it's not really for us. Nah.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
We're YouTubers now.
In 2018, the Miami Herald published an investigation into Epstein, which included the plea deal and dozens of women alleging abuse. And then in 2019, July of 2019, he was arrested on new sex trafficking charges, which led to his incarceration. He obviously wasn't convicted at the time. I don't know what happens now, but I don't know your system really. I guess you can't do post-death conviction. Can we leave his corpse in a cell for eternity or something? I'll get to that in a minute.
No, honestly, what would probably happen is probably just a plea deal from the lawyer, because the victims would still want
compensation.
Yeah. But he pleaded not guilty while he was still alive, so
chances of them getting anything. I mean,
probably not.
How do you put a price on that? You know.
I would say it's even harder now, so I would put the price up much higher.
Yeah, I don't know how you. Yeah, I know you can't try Dead Man Prosper. I was being intentionally dickish. It's a tricky one because I'd love for him to face. It's like in our country with Jimmy Savile. I would love to bring him back to life just so he could face his charges.
Yeah, but that's the thing, Prospero. Dead men tell no tales.
Oh God!
Because we know damn well that Epstein not only did absolutely atrocious things, but he had very, very powerful influencers. Like the fact that he knew Trump and subsequently got banned from Mar-a-Lago, and knew Bill, in which he flew on 4 of the excursions on the Lolita Express.
Express.
That's just 2 of the names. Jeez. He knows plenty more.
There are pictures of Clinton with and Prince Andrew as well. I'll be honest, I was too busy laughing at all of this. Prince Andrew is obviously mentioned in the investigation, and in this, it was sort of alleged that one of the former sex slaves called Virginia Roberts had been, because she's the one that alleged it, she was intimate with Prince Andrew at one of the London homes of Mr. Epstein. It probably explains why Prince Andrew is currently hiding in Balmoral at this point, because any connection anyone has really to him, except for Trump, I'd say for the most part, although I did notice NSNBC, when they were reporting on this, they were quoted this. The reporter actually said, "How predictably Russian." I'm sorry, what? I don't quite understand that. There were 2 hashtags that did their runs, and I put them in the title, in the top of the video. One is Clinton body count, the other one's Trump body count, because the Clinton body count had about, at the time I saw it, over 60,000 tweets related to it, most of which were the thumbnail of this video. And the other Trump one had about 12,000. And funny enough, the Clinton one vanished, leaving just the Trump one, which I thought was quite amusing. It wasn't like it was trending. Suspect.
You know, one of my favorite of the Clinton body count is actually an MI6 spy.
Oh, right.
Ready for this one?
Go on.
This is from Conservapedia /Clinton body count. August 16th, 2010, a transatlantic MI6 spy named Gareth Williams, whose dead body was found naked, padlocked, and stuffed in a 32-inch by 19-inch duffel bag that was sitting in his London bathtub, had illegally hacked secret data on Bill Clinton, according to the UK Sun. The news site noted his death is still one of Britain's most mysterious unsolved cases. Scotland Yard had announced the death as a suicide, saying he locked himself in the bag. Before or after he shot himself?
I like that. That's up there with the and people might know this, won't know this. Trump sent me a picture of Boris Johnson playing a guitar, but the strap lock was on the wrong side of his hand. I mean, he wasn't playing the guitar at all. Well, he was, but he wasn't playing a chord. He was just strumming.
That was an interesting.
It's up there with that kind of stupidity, you know. The one that got me, and I've got it on screen now because I quickly went and got it, was Sofame. He said, people are seriously blaming the Epstein suicide on the Clintons. Check your tinfoil hat fools. Now, I tend to agree because I don't know too much about this. It does feel a bit tinfoil hatty, but I do see the connections, which is where obviously everyone else is drawing it from. Someone, Phil Schill, replied, and on the other side, people are blaming it on Trump. Sinatra commented, he won't tweet about that. To which Fame went, I must have missed the Trump body count hashtag. To which someone replied with pictures of it. I know that, and I've seen enough of Fane and other people's tweets, all essentially doing a bit of a defense, kind of the Clintons. I don't know much about them, to be fair, past like the corruption of Hillary and Bill getting sucked off in the Oval Office. But there does seem to be a bit. There is. I don't know. It feels so strange.
The problem is whether or not you actually conscribe to the conspiracy theories. Like, I don't actually. Well, I don't know. It's hard for me to conscribe to this conspiracy theory in essence because this event just happened. Like, ordinarily you could say like, okay, happenstance, okay, the MI6 spy thing, yeah, the news would report it as a suicide, but like, are we really gonna know the inner workings of MI6? Probably not. Like, whatever, okay, fine. But the problem is with these kinds of things, especially now with Epstein's death, it fuels the fire beyond the point of no return.
It does, and because of the nature of it, and this is where I guess we should now talk about it. Epstein was on suicide watch after an attempt, I think, a week or two ago. He was on suicide watch, but there are a couple of articles that have referenced that he'd actually been taken off it about 2 days ago, or between 1 and 3 days ago to be exact, which is not exact at all, really, is it? And I find that to be really interesting. I'd like to know how they managed to get a guy into a position where he was no longer considered a suicide threat after he had made an attempt to hang himself, which, I'll be honest, after watching enough of your US prison documentaries, when people are on suicide watch, they stay there for a long, long time. They really do. They have to be evaluated and assessed, and it takes a long time to do that.
Well, it's really weird because there's the potential for a criminal negligence because this is what Tim Pool, because he also had the issue with like admitting to the conspiracy theory, but he made a good point with criminal negligence.
Okay.
And I said, okay, but here's the argument with that. There's either the criminal negligence of a guard who watched it happen and didn't care.
Okay.
A guard who was paid off to not care.
Ooh.
Or the warden was paid off to take him off suicide watch.
Well, that can only be confirmed with some kind of investigation, I guess.
It could be, but then you'd find that those investigators would probably also find themselves locked in a duffel bag.
Someone in the chat, Horny Hippos, actually, I I put it in my sources list for this. Two guards at MCC who normally had overnight shift that watches over suicide risk inmates were both told to leave the area 3 hours earlier for scheduled maintenance to jail cells and hoys. But I don't have anything past BNL News Twitter saying this. I don't know. To me, at the moment, it's an assertion at this present time until that's confirmed. Because it's a lot. It's a lot. Oh dear. Maintenance on
But
Suicide Watch.
Stuart Meatball, look, someone turned their head and let this happen. Yeah, but the question is, what happened? What did they turn their head and let happen? Did they let a murder take place, or did they let a suicide take place? That's where the conspiracy question comes in. That's where you go. Either way, someone's negligent.
So much of this reeks of conspiracy because it's just because of who it is and all the involved. I know what you mean.
Not accept it.
I agree. It's something.
But that's like the biggest thing. Like, oh yeah, that's another one. Is he even dead? I saw posts on Facebook that people took out a body. Like they took him out of the prison, had his heart stopped, and then they resuscitated him in the hospital, and he's on a private island somewhere.
He's not Tupac, okay?
Yeah, he's not in Area 51, guys.
Right, because that's where Tupac is.
That I actually saw. I saw a pic in the group of the Storm Area 51 group. I actually did see that picture that Tupac was hiding in Area 51.
Maybe that explains why so many people are interested in storming Area 51. Then I guess.
Yeah.
I will link some sources in the chat for those who are interested. A lot of this is really interesting. I find it. I'm going to let you continue. Although actually, there was something. William Barr announced a Department of Justice
that one's
Inspector
my
General.
favorite link right there.
Is that the one you put in the chat?
Yeah, the Clinton body count.
Okay, we'll get to that in a second. So William Barr has obviously denounced this whole thing, and because the whole apparent suicide, and the Justice Department Inspector General Michael Horowitz launched an investigation into circumstances of the accused child sex trafficker's accused death in his prison cell. Hopefully they get something out of this and we get some information, because this is a bit weird.
But like, here's the funny ones, right? And I say funny in like a terribly ironic, like makes you go kind of thing. Get your noggin a jogging, if you will. On that page, and I've heard most of these stories, and you can look them up separately from this Wikipedia. It's just a wonderful list. I'm down at the political cases where it says like Berta Cáceres, human rights activist, killed while sleeping in her home in La Esperanza, Honduras, who had named Hillary Clinton as responsible for the Honduran coup, which toppled democratically elected President Manuel Zelaya. Since the coup, Honduras has become one of the most violent places in the world. That was in 2016 when she died. Funny story about that date. Seth Rich, DNC whistleblower, gunned down. He leaked DNC emails to WikiLeaks. And he was shot 2 weeks before Hillary's nominating convention. August 2nd, 2016, Sean Lucas, attorney and process server for a class action lawsuit on behalf of Bernie Sanders supporters, which alleged fraud and collusion between the DNC and the Clinton campaign, remained unsolved. Lucas's death had delayed judicial proceedings until after November 2016 elections. Illegal payments from the DNC to agitators and activists for dirty tricks and other illegal election campaign activity on behalf of Hillary Clinton has also been uncovered, and their citations. Yeah, so those are just the recent ones. They go all the way down to JFK.
What?
Junior.
Right. That's The Clinton body count's interesting, by the way.
So some people would say it's a coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences.
No, nor do I. But it does get it's one of those weird moments where you're skepticism is tested because I don't know enough about all of this, so I have to sit back and be like, "Fuck is all this?"
Well, that's the weird part because this is not just a U.S. thing. This is, as you mentioned, one of your. I think you said a
London,
Prince.
yeah, Prince Andrew's
Yeah,
involved. Bill
yeah.
Clinton,
Prince
Trump.
Andrew was involved.
Trump's
Apparently, an MI6 agent.
Trump was involved, but he denounced him years ago. We all know this; it was public.
Yeah, it was like 2015, I think it was.
Yeah, he denounced him because of his. Because he knew something, didn't he?
Ooh, wait, this is a funny one. John Ash, the former president of the UN General Assembly, was awaiting trial on bribery charges when he turned up dead in June, ruled a suicide, claiming he crushed his own windpipe.
Ooh. Do it, Prospero. Change your name to I Can't Even. That's my new favorite name for you. In fact, I might change it to that on the
again,
server.
more on the topic. Even if you don't subscribe to the idea of either Trump's body count or Clinton's body count, unfortunately, this now opens the door to people saying, "Look at this evidence now too."
Mm-hmm.
And anybody who could prove otherwise goes missing, dies, or is never heard from again. So there's a certain level of, we'll call it skepticism that I have to implore here, where I say, some of this doesn't quite add up.
It's a bit much, really, isn't it? It's one of those things where too many coincidences happen in a small sort of window, and it gets everyone thinking, nah, something's not right here.
Right. It's the sheer amount, because this is not a short page. This Conservapedia list. This is not a small amount. There's over 100 citations on this page.
Yeah.
It's like people die. Yeah, Stuart Meatball. People die around them. Usually by suicide.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll go with apparent suicide at the moment because, yeah, it did follow the more recent unsealing of about 2,000 pages of court records by the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second District, which was connected to the defamation lawsuit brought by Epstein accuser Virginia against a British socialite called Ghislaine Maxwell? Ghislaine. That's how you spell first name, I don't know. The on-off girlfriend, whom the accuser, Virginia, has accused of helping Epstein abuse her and other women when the accuser, Virginia, was underage. The records include a number of allegations by Virginia that Maxwell instructed her to have sex with Prince Andrew, New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson, former Senator George Mitchell, and MIT Professor Marvin Minsky, which is interesting.
And also, if you look into some of these deaths, you go, these aren't suicides. None of them are suicides. This is bullshit.
Right.
sorry. I'm reading this thing. I just heard you talking about the thing about Prince Andrews. I'm just reading these. I'm just like, there's no fucking way. This is no fucking way. I'm literally just like scrolling down this page right now.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, please continue.
Okay. Victor Thorne, author of the Clinton Murder Volume and other books on the Clinton's crime syndicate, found shot to death on a mountain near his home on August 1st, 2016, ruled a suicide. Thorne recently beforehand said on Russell Scott's talk radio show, if he was ever found dead, it would not be suicide.
I heard about that. I remember it.
Let's see. Terrence Yeaky, I don't know how to pronounce that. First police officer to arrive at the Murrah building following the Oklahoma City bombing. He had collected together a vast amount of hard data on the bombing of the Murrah Federal Building. The patrol car was found abandoned along a dirt road, the front seat covered in blood. Officer Yuki himself was found a short distance away with 11 cut wounds on both arms and 2 in his throat, plus a gunshot through the head. No gun was ever found, and the death was declared a suicide. His material done on OK City bombing was never found. Following his death, his life had been previously threatened. Suicide.
Circumstantial, huh?
Oh yeah, yeah. Any investigator who would go and be like, a police officer found dead with multiple lacerations and a gunshot wound.
Yeah.
No gun next to the body. No gun next to the body.
Yeah.
Suicide. Yep.
Yeah. Oh dear. So I may as well ask you, because it's the obvious thing. What do you think has happened with Epstein? What do you think happened? Do you think he committed suicide? Do you think someone killed him?
I literally have no idea at this point. My my brain says, yeah, he was probably removed by somebody else, not himself.
Do you think then that when the investigation takes place, it will be reported as suicide, or do you think there'll be some honesty in that?
Nope. I think that if anybody ever does investigative journalism, you'll find that somebody else will wind up dead.
Land of the free, huh?
Land of the free, as long as you're not trying to dig up dirt on the Clintons, which is weird because it's not like they're gonna win anything anytime soon.
I don't understand how they're still powerful.
It's because of who they know and what they've done and their foundation. Their foundation is linked to about oh god, it's an international charity, quote unquote, in which they have plenty of very high up donors. But then again, I'm not an expert on the criminal actions of other people. I could ask somebody about it though. I have a friend who's a forensic scientist.
That could be interesting.
I'm sure he'd be thrilled to talk about this and be like, "Are people gonna know my name?" I feel like, no. Hopefully not.
While people are busy making the obvious memes and jokes now, which is understandable, alleged sex offender, make all the jokes you like. I don't mind, because there's, he's been done before, so you can still get him. You can still meme him. It doesn't matter. It is disappointing that he's not going to face justice because of involvement with, or potentially, allegedly, because of his involvement with reasonably powerful people who really shouldn't be. One of whom is obviously, as you stated, kept alive with virgins, and the other one kept alive with some kind of back brace. In fact, I'm pretty sure she doesn't have a skeleton anymore.
And pure malice.
And a nuke up her vagina. I just... It's disappointing, because obviously with these kind of cases, I want to see justice served. Whether that means he spent the rest of his natural... Or whether it means he had to have then spent the rest of his natural born life under perpetual surveillance on suicide watch, I don't care. If convicted of committing the crime, that is it. You're done. Hell, stick you in with El Chapo in a max security prison.
Honestly, the fact that El Chapo is in a maximum security prison and in there for life means that he wasn't as powerful as Epstein.
Different kind of power.
But that says something, doesn't it?
It does, yes.
El Chapo, a fucking drug lord, not as powerful as this man.
Yeah, subtle criminal as opposed to someone a bit more blatant.
Well, you find that these executive criminals, the ones with the money or the power, they seem to operate on another level than the rest of us. And we talked about this during the the snake ball who worked for Trump as his lawyer. Michael Cohen. He's got a whole bunch of charges on him.
Hmm.
He is remarkably well treated. I find these people to be disgusting, in general. All these people, all of them, the ones who get to circumvent the criminal justice system in this country because of who they know or what they know. I find it utterly disgusting because then there is a inherent class that is created that is above us, and this is what our country literally fought for when we went against Britain originally. We were against this bullshit upper echelon telling us what we could do or not do, or making our lives worse on for them, in that idea of fighting off monarchy and bureaucracy.
Hmm.
Now, of course, we created a new instance of it by creating senators and presidents and whatnot, but it wasn't originally in the line that we have created today. It's just over time it has been corrupted in its original sense. Uh, so these kinds of people piss me off because you shouldn't get the sweet release of death.
Hmm.
Epstein should not have gotten a sweet release of death. That is too easy.
I agree.
He did not give it to any of the other ones. He did not allow the other people who he victimized to ever get that justice. To know that he would suffer for the rest of his life because his life was cut short, either by his own hand or the Clintons, depends on how you feel. But it's bullshit, regardless.
I agree. It's bullshit. I should point out there was um, before his passing, until we know which, I guess, murder or suicide or whatever.
Death. It's
Death.
death.
It's death. Yeah, fuck it. He had told guards, Epstein, that someone had tried to kill him before he allegedly hung himself. But then again, isn't that normally the case that if someone is found to be a sex offender in a prison, you're gonna be killed?
Yeah. Yeah.
I still don't understand. Also, I have been meaning to ask if Attorney General William Barr orders the FBI and the Inspector General to open investigation into Epstein's death, do they have to do what he tells them?
Yes.
Oh, good, because he's done that. That should be interesting then to see how they do that. And no one, Cheryl, hello everyone in the chat. I do apologise for not addressing you all. I really am sorry. No one should be sad because the guy was already a registered sex offender. No reason to be sad. It's just the circumstances and those names involved, especially that rather substantial list of people involved on that 2,000-page document that was released not so long ago.
What's even worse, I guess, is like whatever happens from here will basically tell the tale of what actually happened. So he's dead. This is a scandal by itself.
You got a new subscriber called Aaron, by the way.
Thank you, Aaron. Um, this is by itself a scandal. But what happens afterward? What comes out from the investigation? That's going to be even worse because you know that whoever is implicated in the prison
Mm-hmm.
is going to have a contact. And that contact is going to have a buyer. It's going to have somebody who bribed him. And that person is going to have somebody who told him or put him into that position.
Maybe it was Russia at this point.
No, I don't think so. I think Russia. I mean, here's the thing, though. If we're playing the game that the Clintons are the bad guys here, and we're just assuming this for now,
Mm-hmm.
the Clintons hated Russia. Why do you think that is? Is it possible that the Russians do know about the Clintons and they can't get to them because they're in Russia?
I need to put my tinfoil hat back on to start thinking so that the government doesn't get into my brainwaves.
I'm gonna need pencil to make me a version of my character with a tinfoil hat.
I think for my old avatar, someone did amend a tinfoil hat in PNG so I could just drop it over the top. but not for
Yeah,
the. Not,
I may just take a PNG and slap it on.
but I don't have one for my chibi.
Yeah, let's see if Pencil can make us tinfoil.
Yeah,
Just make two of them so we can just go, here you go.
that could be fun. That could be fun. Um, right. So what? Okay. So obviously, I don't know much about your justice system. Um, with his death, what happens to the? I assume those cases are now dead, except for any
Pretty much.
compensation that could be obtained.
Right. Basically, it's you accept a plea deal from the attorney. Or you take whatever the attorney can offer, or you risk going to prison without a, without a victim, and the judge basically will rule on it and will basically say, well, I'm going to dismiss this because the guy's dead.
So and let's say they're telling the truth, and they were abused by him. They never get any resolution then.
That's correct, basically.
Oh, that's shit.
There's no way unless their defense attorney is kind, which I don't expect.
Well, that is really unfortunate. Okay, I don't know what to say now past that. To be fair, I don't know
whether or not the family could make a statement on behalf of Epstein, because he did have kids and a wife. That's weird. Now that I think about it. Oh, that's a weird thought. Creepy.
What, him having a wife?
No, having kids.
Him having kids?
Yeah.
66. Were they young or?
I don't know. Let's find out.
Okay, you find out. I like the. I did, like, when I was perusing a few websites looking at articles on this. Many pointed out like how much Epstein was actually worth. Someone was talking about Barr's anger about this, and apparently it was pretty bad. Private islands, Wall Street connections. It's a lot. Where was the finances? The net worth thing. In self-reported assets.
The judge
Jesus.
in the Jeffrey Epstein.
Mute. You can feck right off. Seriously, I'm not getting copyright claim by you. Some point it was worth over half a billion or something. I'm willing to post about a sixth of that just to get out of jail. Just to get out of jail, who's willing to pay 100 million? Wow. How bad was the Nutraloaf for his digestive system? I mean, he's 66. I'm not expecting it to go down, or for him to be able to pass it. But seriously, could actually, at this point, Super in Paradise in the chat says, sue the estate in civil court. Can they do that?
Ask again.
Can the victims sue his estate?
So, based on what I'm looking up, he actually does not have a wife and kids. He's actually only a living immediate family member is his younger brother Mark.
He's about to be rich.
If the will said so. I don't know what his estate planning was like, but I guarantee you he amended it in the last 2 weeks.
If and I will say this, if that all goes, or a chunk of it goes to the Clinton Foundation, that'd be quite funny.
Oh, that would be ironic. Actually, we should pay attention to where this money goes.
We will be paying, for those listening, we will be paying close attention to where that money goes, because if it goes there, oh my god, it's just going to be a stream of us laughing.
Do it.
It's just going to be a stream of us laughing. A lot.
Also, April, that comment, gross. Having kids in more way than one, sadly.
Oh, April, hang on. The estate can be sued. That's fantastic, yeah. Prospero. Thank you.
I did not know that.
That is good. He died. Yes. Thank you, Christina.
He died. Yes, and we're all we're celebrating, but we're also mildly disappointed.
I should say I'm not celebrating because my view is always justice is preferable. And hello from Georgia. I would want him to face. I still hold a considerable amount of anger about some of the issues in this country with Operation Yewtree, in child sex offences, and how some of those were done post-death. And it's like, no, you pricks should have done this sooner. And obviously with this one, though, it's a completely different circumstance because we've yet to know how he died. And obviously it's been listed as an apparent suicide. But with those investigations, hopefully some clarity will come from it. Because until then, it just feels wrong. All of it does. It makes me feel uncomfortable.
For me, I have in regards to the celebration comment. I'm celebrating because a child sex offender is dead. That makes me happy in the darkest of ways.
The views of Trups does not reflect the views of both of us.
No. If you want to see my fucking commentary, go to my channel. You see me dressed up in a goddamn Spanish Inquisitor's outfit just to rip on pedos.
There's a reason I go with a judge outfit instead.
Yeah, no. I will take justice into my own hands, apparently, and by the wrath of God I shall smite thee.
Oh, dear God.
No, but
cringe.
But I'm disappointed because I wish he could have given. I wish the victims could have had their justice.
That's more important to me.
And that's where my disappointment comes from. I'm celebrating because this guy's fucking gone.
Until then, all we can do is speculate. Until we know how whether or not it was suicide, whether their connections are valid or not. Of course, it's a government agency investigating it, so naturally people are going to not be, even if the information was proven, it's still going to be a case that the FBI released the information and it's not going to be good enough because some people want to believe that. And so it's going to be very interesting to see how public perception goes with this. I'm very interested to see how some politicians have handled this. Let's see if Trump has mentioned anything.
Ooh, that sounds an interesting one.
Kim Jong-un.
I don't think he would have.
Sorry?
There was a parody account of Hillary Clinton that made a comment that said, about 2 weeks ago, it said, "We are deeply saddened about Jeffrey Epstein's eventual death next week at 2:45 p.m. on a Tuesday with a single gunshot wound in the back of the head. His suicide will not be forgotten." And I saw that, and I was like, ha, 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 ha. That's dark, and I love it.
The picture for the thumbnail of this came from a meme that said something along the lines of, shortly before his death, he had one last visitor. It was that picture. I thought that was funny. Good night, Stuart Meatball. Thank you for being here. There's here we go. A statement of Manhattan U.S. Attorney General on the death of Jeffrey. The actual statement.
Oh, gimme.
Yeah, I'll link it to you. Statement of Manhattan U.S. Attorney on the death of defendant. Yeah, I'll link it to you instead. Feck it. I'll dump it in the sources. It's part of a tweet. Because I'm scrolling through Twitter just to get a view of this. I will link it also in the chat for those who are interested. I think it is interesting. I think all of this is very interesting. But obviously I have to try and be a little neutral because I really don't know enough yet. But I will admit, and I have to concede, there are so many circumstances. It feels wrong, but feeling isn't enough. We have to wait for all the facts. The feds will cover it up as usual. It's possible. I don't know. I've heard the rumours about the corruption within your what do you call them? Law enforcement agencies.
Shit.
What?
The post that you read says that, "Let me reiterate that we remain committed to standing for you, and our investigation of the conduct charged in the indictment, which included a conspiracy count, remains ongoing."
Ooh, I'm going to put that image on the screen. Give me a moment. I'm going to put that there so we have it. There. Where's the Epstein image? Right, well, I'm changing you for this. There we go. Now it's on the screen. And it fits! Huzzah! Sorry, I'm...
But that's an interesting development. They will charge a dead man.
I don't know what to say to that. That is a small consolation, but I'm not sure how they're going to proceed. It'd be very interesting. If they have enough... Obviously, if they have enough information to make this... It'd be very... Actually, no, wouldn't this set a precedent?
Yes.
Charging?
Yes, you can't charge a dead man. You have a right to face your accuser. You can't do that dead.
God, this kind in a weird way, there's an odd... I can kind of understand it, because when my... And I have to draw on a personal experience thing. My mother was in an accident a few years before her death at work. She couldn't work anymore. But the employers wouldn't take responsibility for it. And all she ever wanted was an apology letter. So when she died, the case was considered dead. So my sister and I decided, fuck you. She never won. We're going to win. About 3 weeks ago, we won. It's that. But it was very odd because they couldn't do much because of her being dead. Do you know what I mean? There's like a weird sort of... How do you deal with that when there's someone missing from it? Have I taken it completely the wrong direction?
No. I was responding to a comment, and I can't push to talk while typing.
Oh, you don't have to push to talk.
Well, people complain about my vaping or my hookah smoking, so I try not to.
Why don't you not do it when you're streaming then?
Because it makes me happy.
I would have thought a dead sex offender would do that for you. Although, by the way, I have heard the machines working in the background during the stream anyway, so it didn't matter.
Oh, yeah, well, whatever.
You don't have to apologize for that. I'll just make sure to get someone to draw a hookah in the stream for us, so you have it.
And also, Prospero, no, the investigation of the conspiracy means you are seeking other malfeasance. Yes, but they said that the conduct charged in the indictment, which was sexual assault, they just now also include a conspiracy. They just also are mentioning conspiracy. But they said that the conduct charged in the indictment is still being investigated. Even if the conspiracy, yeah, they can investigate conspiracy, but they can charge on everything.
Super in Paradise, picture in ER. I saw the pictures on Twitter, and I did for about a non-second think, ooh, let's put them in the stream. Fuck no. I did see them. I saw the picture of someone using one of those little breathing things squeezing up against his face. But that was one picture, and the rest of them were with a remarkably purple-looking face, with a rather bruised-looking neck. Yeah.
Which one's that?
There were pictures on Twitter of Epstein being taken into hospital on a gurney.
Yeah.
Not showing them though.
If you, well, okay, this might be dark. So in the chat, prepare yourself for potential suicide conversation.
I'm bracing myself, but I will admit I'm not comfortable with this.
Usually, bruising won't happen in a hanging unless you fall from a distance.
Okay.
Otherwise, you would have reddening, and a indent from perpetual hanging, and depends on how long you stayed there. But the purpling, the bruising, would come from an impact. It would come from you jumping from a chair, for instance, and that would usually follow the same area in the most darkened spaces around where the rope would, catch somebody. Sure. If there was bruising, though, that means that he not only had more shit to deal with in his cell than probably would have been allowed, but it could also imply that someone else was in there and killed him first and then strung him up. That's easy to tell.
There also
yes, time delay would also be implicated.
I should point out something about. Yeah, I should point out that was referenced in a few articles that it was taken a few hours before he was found. I believe that's what it had said originally, but I would have to go back and confirm it.
That's probably why they rushed his body out, because an autopsy would reveal post-mortem inflicted wounds. Sharps has not hung himself before, but
Right. Okay. Yeah.
has not hung somebody else
Do you
before.
remember earlier when I mentioned the Twitter tweet that said that a couple of the Suicide Watch guys have been made to leave at 3 or something for like a few hours? His body was discovered at
Yeah.
6:30 local time. So whether or not someone had seen him within the 3.5 hour gap, I don't know.
It's different.
Obviously.
Yeah. I don't know. The 3 hour gap is a long time to keep somebody who's supposed to be on 24/7 watch, if that still was true.
I love also.
Well, no, Renovatio. If Epstein was taking out, those who didn't know well how to cover their tracks. That's not necessarily true. They ruled a suicide on a person who is stuffed and padlocked in a fucking duffel bag.
Prospero, I don't actually know because it's not my area of expertise. It's why first
I
thing
would
I
have
saw.
to see the
Yeah,
pictures.
when I saw them, I just said bruise because that's what I saw. I don't.
Hang on, look it up on Twitter.
I didn't make it a point to go looking at them and think, oh yeah, I'm going to look at a dead guy's neck. I love also that
I've seen enough.
there was a picture of the van that brought him in, and they put some of those screens up, the hospital screens where people get undressed behind, try and block people. Thing is, obviously they did it on a decline at lower ground because everyone else at surface level just lifted their phones up a little bit higher. So what did you see?
I'm still looking. Hang on. Oh, his face is purple. I can tell you that much. So that is at least evidence of strangulation. Hang on. Photos show Epstein as he was wheeled into the hospital. Yeah, face is purple, which it makes look like asphyxiation, but he hanged himself in a cell, so he might have died from a crushed windpipe, but I haven't seen any bruising pictures yet. Hang on. I'm doing all of the good man's work at this point.
Yeah, sorry for the awkward silence, people. It's not my area of expertise. I guess it just gets people thinking. Perhaps I chose my words poorly. I just reacted. I just remembered seeing it once and decided I'm not showing this.
Oh, by the way, trending right now is Epstein murder.
Oh, is it? Because on mine it's Casualty, a TV show in the UK. Yeah, and Harry Kane, a footballer, a soccer player to you. Yeah, all that is absolutely
I'm sending
gone.
you a wonderful tweet right now. I'm gonna share it on my wall right now. I dumped it in sources because it's funny.
Okay, I'll put it on the. Oh Jesus! Yeah, I'll put it on the screen in a second for everyone to see. Yeah, let's go with that one. No, do as you're told. Thank you. That one.
Oh wow. Somebody really did do a side-by-side comparison with the fucking ears, and the ears are fucking different. Holy shit.
What does that mean?
It means that it's not the same person.
What? Oh dear. Oh dear.
I just hope it's not a mirrored picture
Probably is.
of one of them. If the other ear is in fact the same, I don't know.
No, you said mirrored. That does feel like it's the more than likely.
No, because I'm looking at another picture of his right side, and that doesn't look correct. It's a very unique profile, so it's similar, but not exactly the same. But that can be exacerbated by, ironically, a asphyxiation, because that would restrict blood flow. But that would imply something else.
What would it imply?
Well, not asphyxiation alone, because if the blood pools in a body part, then you would expect swelling, but you wouldn't expect like tightening of
I would say to
of the skin.
Renovatio in the chat could either be photoshopped through to push a conspiracy. I'll be honest, everything is absolutely messy right
Yeah, that's possible.
now.
But
But it does feel a bit meh.
I mean, I don't really find any of these pictures as like be all end alls, because first of all, I haven't seen any of the bruising pictures yet. I'm still looking. Um,
It's possible I didn't see it at all. I just sort of saw bruising and thought, it's his neck. Fuck it. I do apologise. I honestly, I only saw them in passing once, and I was done with it the moment I saw them. I should have just dumped the picture in the political recap tab. That would have been easier for you.
here's another question though, right? They said that he was found unresponsive in his cell, but they didn't say that they found him hanging in his cell. They just said that they found him unresponsive.
For a guy on Suicide Watch will just come off it, I'm surprised they gave him back enough stuff to be able to kill himself.
That is my thought as well. But the ears are mostly cartilage, yeah, but there's still blood in it. Fucking hell.
You ever pierced your ear before? I did
Yeah.
mine with my prefect's badge. Bled a while. Didn't feel it, but
Yeah,
it bled.
a lot.
But I tell you
But the
what,
question is when you actually choke someone, or if you ever had a tourniquet on,
Mhm.
then you would expect that area to actually stop blood flow,
Okay.
which would end up making it pool in a certain area. Without it getting oxygen, it turns a different color, which is probably evidence to the purplish face. So I mean that part is fair.
Okay.
But I don't know why the rest of their body would contort.
Okay. See, I'm not an
That's
expert in any of this. This is all. I don't watch enough crime dramas to be able to be an expert on this.
I used to be a first responder, and I've also
I was going with
well,
the armchair people who think they understand. I was just making a joke.
so
Yeah.
there's bits and pieces that I know.
Okay. So in summary, a sex offender is dead. Trups is celebrating and not, and I am
You are hmming, but why am I the more skeptic of the two?
indeed, indeed. You are skeptic. Congratulations.
If his head was below his heart and he hung himself, then that would have to be that he was guillotined, so a person would chokehold him.
You
not
mean
hanging.
garroted?
Depends. Do you mean the same thing that I do?
Take a piece of wire, wrap it around the neck, and pull real tight.
No. Like literally, if you take somebody's head, put it underneath your arm, and like
Headlock.
have them slightly over themselves. So like if they bend over, you grab them by the head and you wrench up.
Right.
In jiu-jitsu, that would be called a guillotine because you would actually feed
Oh,
your
a
hand
dragon
into their
sleeper.
collar.
A dragon sleeper.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that move. You break the neck.
Yeah. Yes, you can. So yes, theoretically, if that person was in a different angle, yes, you could, but there would be no way for you to then take the weight of your body and pull the blood in the head. If you were to do it yourself, it's a little harder.
Right. Okay. With the statement from the Attorney General, New York Attorney, do you believe there'll be a resolution?
I hope so. I'm gonna be eagerly watching this shit because they made a pro gamer move, but they may have made a grave mistake as well.
Okay. And when the will is read and assets are divvied up, how hard are you going to be rubbing your cock when the Clinton Foundation get a donation?
Furiously masturbating.
Seriously. You will not. I'm sure you won't be the only person. Oh, okay. Before we finish, because I can't think of anything else to add to this, because it's going to get darker and darker, I think.
Yep.
Is there anything you'd like to shill?
I have nothing else to show. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm going to shill one thing because I'm trying to get someone to 50 followers on Twitch, and they're 5 away. They're not streaming at the moment because they only just finished, I think. but their name is Laura Bones. So if you could do me a solid and go there and give her a follow, I would greatly appreciate it. When more information comes out on this, of course we're going to cover it. It's quite unusual that when I pushed this back by 1 day so I could go on a little fishing trip with family and friends, that this happened on the day, because I was preparing some Boris and Brexit stuff, and then this happened and I was like, okay, I'll just do this in videos then. Cool. Fair enough. I'm not going to share anything myself, so I guess we'll call it. Thanks a lot for joining, everyone. We'll see you next week. Say goodnight, Trops.
Good night, Trops.
Good night, Trops.